Hi, I'm John Little, and this is the ShockCast for Saturday, August 11th, 2018. They are coming for you. The rise in the persecution around the world is not a coincidence. China, South Africa, Europe, Canada, the US, and many others are seeing a dramatic rise in the persecution of Christians and conservatives. And they don't just want them persecuted. They want them dead. And that means you. I know that for many of you this seems like a bizarre statement. After all, the left doesn't seem to be all that bad. In fact, maybe just a little stupid. But history and current events sing a different song. Never forget the French Revolution. It was all about destroying morality and virtue. If you had any, they killed you. The ink was barely dry on my article on madness last week when a glaring example of it blasted across the front pages. Alex Jones and InfoWars were taken down. At least on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Pinterest, Spotify, and a bunch of others that no one pays too much attention to. And let's not forget that Google and Twitter are shadow banning Alex as well. And I get regularly shadow banned by Google too. And the left is outraged that Twitter didn't ban InfoWars. Shadow banning apparently isn't enough for them. Of course, that isn't what they really want. They really want Alex and his supporters dead. And they have made that very, very clear. If you need a case example, just look at Tommy Robinson in the UK. What the British government did to him was shocking and horrifying. They tortured Tommy for 2 months, but was set free, and he was only set free because British patriots and others helped him get legal representation and an appeal. Now the British government wants to finish the job. They want Tommy dead, and there is nothing that they won't do to make it happen. And it is so obvious that I'm more than a little shocked. The same goes for what happened to Alex. This coordinated beatdown of Alex Jones is so obvious and shameless that I'm more than a little shocked at what they've done. And they just don't seem to care. But it gets worse. Last month, Barack Hussein Obama went to South Africa to praise Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC for what they've accomplished and for what they plan to do. What has Cyril Ramaphosa's ANC managed to accomplish? Well, the massacre of about 10% of the white farmers of South Africa and the promise to steal the land of those who still survive. And Obama knows this accomplishment well. In fact, I would venture to say that he approves. Have you noticed the quiet political activity that Obama is engaged in? That's right. Obama is engaged in the same kind of left-wing revolution that brought the ANC to power. And he is holding true to the terrorists, Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn, that launched Obama's career. And yes, they want you dead. Please make no mistake about their intentions. They have your death on their minds. In fact, I know people who would gleefully participate in the massacre. I'm sure that you do too if you looked carefully. Then there's China. Some of you might not know that the Chinese Christian population has risen to 10% of the population. And Xi Jinping doesn't like that. He also wants the Christians dead. He's been killing the Falun Gong for years, so killing Christians is no big deal for him. And it's beginning. The level of persecution in China has dramatically increased recently, and it looks like it will increase further. What they did to the Falun Gong will be child's play compared to what they might start to do to the Christians in China. Even though opponents of Xi have been using Pooh Bear as a way of protesting against him, President Xi is no teddy bear. He's a ruthless tyrant that will stop at nothing, including genocide, to solidify his power. And there are plenty of Chinese officials who are perfectly willing to engage in massacre if it means a nice promotion. And I wish that I was joking. And what do you think will happen when an already shaky economy collapses? Nothing brings out the genocidal tendencies of the left like bad economic times. Please remember that Hitler and Mussolini were leftists. Those who place Hitler on the right wing of history don't even know the political party that he led. And I'm not sure that I'll get the German here right, but it's Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei. I'm afraid that my German professor from many years ago will be upset at my pronunciation. But here's the translation. The Nazi party that we all know and hate is actually translated fully the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Does that sound right-wing to you? No, of course not. And you will notice when you look carefully at any racist that they are all socialists, although they'll never admit it. Racism and socialism always walk hand in hand. Did you think that the genocide of white farmers in South Africa was an accident? The ANC are racists to the core and hardcore socialists. And if you aren't the right kind of black African, you will join the white farmers in their mass graves. I've tangled with a lot of racists over the years, and they are all socialists at heart. And I find all of that to be just so ironic. But irony isn't a very good defense when they are trying to kill you. Please remember that all socialists have a single father, Satan. Jesus spoke of him here, quote, "The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come, that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." Close quote. John 10:10. And if you weren't sure if the left wanted you dead, you can be sure that their father, Satan, certainly wants you pushing up daisies. Satan knows who all of us are, and he wants each and every one of us planted 6 feet under. I've been face to face with those who want us dead, but even I still struggle with the madness that drives these people. And I'm not sure that I want to comprehend it. You might need to be insane to really understand. But the evidence of their deadly intentions cannot and should not be ignored. Alex Jones, Tommy Robinson, the white farmers of South Africa, and the Christians of China are all just the tip of the spear. What is coming for them is coming for us. The Jews under Hitler also struggled to understand the madness of the Nazis, and they comprehended the danger when it was too late. When history repeats itself, it never pays to be too late. Now we get to the next important part of the ShockCast, the news and analysis from this past week. But before going on, take a moment to click the subscribe button below and hit that bell to be notified when the next ShockCast happens. Those of you listening via MP3, make sure that you are subscribed to the Shock Letter at theshockletter.com. And there's an important reason to be subscribed to the Shock Letter, since I usually do not have the time to talk about more than just a fraction of the news that I analyze here on the ShockCast. So subscribe to the Shock Letter and get all the news and links that I analyze for free. In fact, everyone should sign up for the Shock Letter subscription. Subscribing and unsubscribing is easy, and there's no way that I would ever share the subscription list with anyone. Period. I'm not in this for the money, and never will be. So, our first article that I looked at was Flash for exiled novelist Turkey like 1930s Germany. This is from France 24. This is what she said, a very extremely bad sign, but a very, very illuminating look at what Turkey has become. Turkey really is becoming, has become, the Germany of the early years of Hitler's reign of terror. I have joked that Oink Erdogan, my own name for Recep Tayyip Erdogan, looked a lot like Hitler, and he certainly does. And I knew that he was acting like Hitler. Furthermore, I knew from personal experience in Turkey that the Turkish people were ready and are ready for someone like Hitler to rise and take over. So, now we have a Hitler. And just like the old Hitler, he is ready to murder as many Jews as he can. Please remember that this is the same Turkey that murdered more than 2 million Christians. So, murdering 6 million Jews in Israel will be completely natural to this foul and evil country. Please be ready for this. The day of Gog and Magog is almost here. Then, this article ends on a note that I have always believed. My own way of telling people how to write fiction, actually any kind of good writing, is this: you must bleed on every page. I coined that phrase in a creative writing group in Israel that I was participating in several years ago, and that phrase still holds true. And even every entertaining author that I have ever read applies this painful principle on every page. Well, the last line of this article is also very, very true, and another excellent motto for any aspiring writer. I dare say that it might even be better than my own motto. It goes like this, quote, "In literature, you have to be more than 200% honest," she said. "You write with blood." There is great pain in great writing. Without that pain on every page, your writing will not compel the reader to finish what you wrote. It's a sign of how awful humanity is that we must see conflict and suffering on every page if we are to enjoy what we read. Beauty and Peace is boring to read, so if you wish to write, you must write with blood. This next one is Too Little Too Late, Bankruptcy Booms Among Older Americans, from the New York Times. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. It was the 70s, and there were 6 kids to feed on the salary of a poorly paid chemist. But I remember watching those with more money, blowing it all on restaurants, vacations, and new cars every 2 years. They spent huge amounts of money on stupid stuff, and now they can't afford to retire. Reality has come crashing in for those who didn't save for their retirement, or at least didn't save enough. Of course, there are some who couldn't save, and my heart goes out to those who are suffering for reasons that have nothing to do with their willingness to save money. But in general, the baby boomers bear a lot of responsibility for the mess that America is in. They chose to elect dirtbag politicians and then chose not to hold them accountable for their misdeeds. They started the process of destroying morality in America. They were the ones who gave us Roe v. Wade and abortion on demand. They voted for the welfare state and the warfare state. Sure, you can make the case that they were just stupid. Okay, fine. But being stupid has consequences, and there's a limit to how much you can rescue people from consequences. The other part of the problem is the insane healthcare costs caused by bureaucracy and a court system that allows judges and juries to award insane amounts of money to people who didn't like the medical outcomes that they suffered. Of course, the baby boomers did that too, so maybe I should lay the blame at their door as well. And then, the baby boomers taught their children to do all the above and worse. However, I do not wish for the baby boomers to suffer. I really don't. If I could save them from their fate, I would. But we're all stuck in this reality that they helped to create, and it will get a whole lot worse. A lot worse. Then we'll move on to a discussion or a couple articles about the white farmers of South Africa. In this one it says 139 South Africa farms may be taken from white owners without compensation, reports Sputnik International. Here is a quote from that article. Quote, South Africa's ruling African National Congress, ANC, has targeted 139 farms that they plan to expropriate, i.e. steal, without compensation in the coming weeks, in line with Section 25 of the country's constitution, according to the website News 24. Close quote. It says in the coming weeks. Not good news, kids. Not good news at all. The next one is South Africa on brink of anarchy as president demands white farmers' land is seized. World News from express.co.uk. Here is even more on the plans to seize the land of South African farmers without compensation. Be ready for some real starvation if you live in South Africa. I'm sorry, we have Zimbabwe as an example of what happens when you take the white farmers and either kill them or throw them off their own lands and steal it from them. Starvation happens, along with a host of other problems. Then there's this next one. ANC shocks Twitter by calling all white people murderers from The Citizen. To my South African readers, get out of South Africa. And no, it doesn't matter what color you are. South Africa is going to collapse and collapse hard. Think of Zimbabwe if you need an example. I don't know why Africans need to be this self-destructive. I have theories about that, arising from the Muslim empires that kept Africa from trading and communicating with Europe and Asia. And there are the diseases like malaria that have also contributed to their demise. But this rampant stupidity is beyond belief. So please, get out of South Africa while you can, if you can, when you can. Then there's this last one, and this one is the worst of all. And it affects directly Americans. And it helped also, among a few other articles, touch off our subject for this week. Obama ignores genocide in South Africa by Ilana Mercer from WND. Almost 10% of the white farmers in South Africa have been murdered, slaughtered, tortured, some of their bodies hung up as trophies. Now that Cyril Ramaphosa claims that it's okay to take away the land and livelihoods of white farmers, the genocide will increase. Then enter Obama, who came to praise Ramaphosa on this new South Africa. What does that tell you about Obama's intentions towards white Americans? Oh, and when South Africans sought asylum in America, they were deported back to South Africa. And that, my friends, is America. Russia, on the other hand, has given refuge to 15,000 of these farmers. And he will consider, I should say Putin, himself blessed by having good farmers in his country who know how to produce wheat, vegetables, and beef. May Russia be blessed for their compassion on these white South African farmers. And there is a curse upon America for their hard heart in the face of evil. Please remember what America did when the Jews of Germany and Europe sought refuge in America. America turned them back to die. America has just done the same to white South African farmers. What does that tell you about America's fate? And then, as an added note, I also saw this article on a rather vile website, the UNZ Review, UNZ Review. Their support for Hitler is shocking. Okay, moving on to actually the grand solar minimum, and this actually impacts all of us, and we're seeing evidence of this already. It's called Risks and Opportunities Facing the Global Supply Chain in a Grand Solar Minimum from YouTube. I believe that the grand solar minimum that we are moving into is real, and it will become more apparent this winter and the next one. My hope is that this prediction and observation are incorrect, but I'm not sure that we have any real reason to be confident. Please pay attention to this. A grand solar minimum produces the same kinds of effects that we see when we look at the four horsemen of the apocalypse of Revelation. It fits. So we need to be watching this. The next topic is Christian persecution in China. And this one is the Christian Heartland opens window into fight for China's soul from the Miami Herald. Please pray for our brothers and sisters in China. Persecution is rising and the price for following Christ is increasing more and more. President Xi, pronounced as it does sound, although it's spelled with an X and an I, wants to destroy anything that commands a higher loyalty than the Communist Party and, of course, himself. To Xi, belief in God is a threat, and he wants to eliminate this threat. To Xi, nothing should ever be higher in an authority than the Communist Party. Nothing. To put it another way, they believe that God should bow to the Communist Party. And many, many Christians will suffer greatly in China as Xi attempts to stamp them out. So again, please pray for the persecuted church in China. It's bad now, and it's about to get much, much worse. Now, this next one is about Tommy Robinson, and you'll see more about Tommy a little bit later as well. But this one is labeled Urgent Tommy Robinson Faces Prison. again, from Ezra Levant on YouTube. You really need to listen to what Ezra said. You really do. This is horrendous. The UK government wants to destroy Tommy Robinson, just like what the left is trying to do to Alex Jones. Tommy is physically weakened and unwell from the abuse that he received in prison, and the insane UK government wants to finish the job. They want him dead, and they will not stop until he is. And Tommy is just the beginning. They want all who oppose them in their insane madness to suffer the same treatment. If you care about Britain, you need to care about Tommy Robinson. To help him out, go to savetommy.com, and that is SAVETOMMY.com, savetommy.com. Lawyers cost money, and he needs good ones. Okay, then there's this one. It's actually another one of the articles that inspired me to write that article that we started off with. This one is Michael Moore, F-U-C-K Hope, seriously, F-U-C-K Hope. And of course, he didn't spell it out. Trump will be the last president of the U.S. So, Michael the Moron Moore is planning an insurgency, a civil war, a shooting war. He's planning on having people killed. And here's a quote. There is a real insurgency taking place, and it's coming from an extremely surprising source, Moore said. The revolution is happening in the most unlikely of places. The resistance, the true resistance, is not coming from the Democratic Party or from the liberal establishment. I can't reveal too much right now, but there is a real insurgency taking place. Close quote. If the FBI hadn't been so penetrated by socialist operatives, this would be the time to call the FBI and have Moron Moore interrogated. Of course, he might be referring to the FBI. Now, hopefully, Michael Moore, is just being an idiot. But I'm wondering, I'm not sure that we can say that. Does he know something? This next one breaks my heart a little bit, but of course I saw this coming, and I suspect that you did too. South Carolina churches seek lifelines as attendance drops, closures rise. The state. This is a symbol of America, and it's a depressing symbol. It's true that America had a shallow Christianity, but even shallow Christians gave honor of some kind to God. Now, God is honored in very few places in America anymore. This really is a heartbreaking testimony of where America once was and where it is going. As this article mentions, 1950 was a good year. We will never see that America ever again. The next one is Hitler and Trump, the Great Man Theory, debunked, from Gerald's blog. This guy is right. He gets it, and that's good to see. The reason why Alexander was able to conquer so much so quickly was due to Persian weakness, not necessarily his brilliance. True, Alexander was a smart dude, but he was a smart dude that was fortunate to live at just the right time. The problem is that he's also right about dying empires, and even Donald Trump. I still hold out hope that Trump will be a good president, but I've seen too many mistakes. Too many opportunities thrown away. We'll see what happens. But there's one other cogent thought that can be found in this quote from the article. Quote, one of the significant shortcomings of many political philosophers is their ignorance of human nature. You can say that again. That is why collectivism in all of its forms appeals to the downtrodden. Share and share alike is a beautiful ideal so long as you get other people's stuff. But the flip side of the coin is not quite so appealing. I heard a radio interview with a self-avowed communist. Quote, a quote within a quote, so, do you believe in share and share alike? Yes, I do. And if you had more than one house, you'd give them away and keep just one for yourself? Yes, I would. And if you had more than one vehicle, you'd give them away and keep just one for yourself? Yes, I would. And if you had more than one shirt? Whoa, wait a minute. I have more than one shirt. I can remember the rest of the interview as I was laughing. I'm sorry, I can't remember the rest of the interview as I was laughing too hard. Close quote. This writer, Gordon, correctly encapsulates the foolishness of the human mind. We are all selfish morons. All of us. And I am bookmarking Gerald's site. Sorry, did I say Gordon? Gerald's website. He's got some good thoughts, and he's a good writer. And then more on this idea of morons and evil. This article is titled "Colleges, a Force for Evil." Walter is right. The writer of this piece is absolutely, completely right. And they were a force for evil back when I was a young buck at my local university. Never, ever send off your kids to college. Make them go to a local college if they need to go to college, and make them live at home. But only let them go to college after you have extracted a promise to allow you to unbrainwash them on a regular basis. And yes, you need to do that. Some of the dumbest people I have ever met have been professors. In fact, the vast majority are morons. So if you love your kids, keep them home until they graduate. This next one is New York Times' Sarah Zhang also sent anti-cop, anti-men tweets from the Daily Caller. I'm curious, why did the New York Times fire one woman for tweets that were far less vicious than those that Sarah Zhang sent out? The difference is that Quinn Norton, the woman who was fired, demonstrated a willingness to talk to both the left and the right. That was a no-no. Oh, and Quinn apparently was too heterosexual. But Sarah Zhang has all the right politics, so her calls to violence against the police and men and, well, anyone with more than 2 brain cells to rub together, that's okay. I've known that the New York Times was run by dirtbags since the 90s. I got to see that firsthand in Jerusalem. Now you get to see it. This next one is Twitter suspends black conservative for changing New York Times bigots' tweets from white to Jewish and black from Zero Hedge. And when Candace Owens reproduced Zhang's vile tweets, but exchanged the words white and men with Jews, blacks, and women, well, she was banned. But Sarah Zhang's racist, anti-white, anti-male, and of course I misspelled male, anti-police tweets are fine in the eyes of Twitter. Way to go, Twitter. That's what you get for having your company in San Francisco. Okay. Then there's this one, midterm meddling, Facebook blocks Republican candidates ad from Breitbart. Wow. This week has been evidence of one dirtbag organization after another. You would think that Facebook would have a sense of shame, but it seems that conscience and integrity don't exist at Facebook. Why should we be surprised? They're all social justice warriors, homosexuals, and just plain morons. Facebook needs to be investigated by the Federal Election Commission. The FEC. A nice $1 billion fine sounds about right to me. What do you think? Then their survival of our democracy depends on banning sites like InfoWars Democratic Center says. Sorry, I'm starting to stutter. Okay. Even more evidence that the left are disgusting morons. These revolting people of uncertain parentage want to make sure that you don't get facts. After all, facts are dangerous things. If you have facts, you might be able to make up your own mind about things. You might be able to disagree with your overlords. No one should be allowed to disagree with their overlords. After all, they're just trying to help us by removing God from our lives, encouraging us to have as much sex as we can and murder our babies. And yes, all of this is exactly how they are trying to destroy us. By removing our ability to understand what is good and right. The next one is on the same lines. Twitter plans hate speech crackdown after backlash from upset employees. From the Daily Caller. Here's an important quote from the article. Twitter is planning to accelerate changes to the company's speech policies after a backlash from its own employees who want the company to ban right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. Close quote. The employees are morons, so they can't help but act like morons, and morons never allow disagreement. Worse, these morons are some of the most immoral people on earth, residing in one of, if not the, most immoral city on earth, San Francisco. And I've worked with IT people in San Francisco. Every single one of them is an awful person. Every single one. Sure, there might be some IT people, information technology people that are great, and my own experience is limited to the people that I interacted with. But seriously, Frisco, which they hate to hear, is an awful place full of awful people. The exceptions are merely that. Exceptions. So it's no wonder that Twitter is shadow banning people. It's no wonder that Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, is being pushed by his own people to ban Alex Jones. Twitter, you need to find a better kind of employee, and you will never find those employees in San Francisco. You couldn't pay me enough to live in San Francisco. Okay, you might be able to, as long as it was a really short time. Okay. This next one is we're back to Tommy Robinson, and it's Tommy Robinson back on trial. What the UK did to Tommy Robinson is sick and twisted. He did not break the law in any way, and his summary imprisonment is a vile and evil act of a psychopathic judge and a psychopathic government. Recently, after a horrific 2 months in prison where he suffered brutal treatment, Tommy was released. We praised God and thought that the worst was over, but such was not to be. They are now hauling him back in front of a judge, attempting to put him back in prison to finish the job. And the job is, they want him dead. Remember, they put Tommy in a prison that had the most violent Muslim gangs. They put him in a prison where the most violent offenders were. They deliberately put him in a place where he was guaranteed to be killed. And they are all attempting to do it again. If they are successful, Tommy will probably be murdered in jail, and that murder will be on the hands of the British government. More importantly, it's a symbol and a symptom of what is happening, first in the UK and then elsewhere. Welcome to the pathological, psychopathic, diabolical Islamization of your country, wherever you are. I'm afraid that we are all Tommy Robinson. Now, the first article in this list of articles is Tommy Robinson compares prison conditions to Guantanamo Bay from Metro News. And I would say, yeah, it was. Actually, it was worse than that. Tommy lost 40 pounds in just 2 months because he was forced onto a starvation diet. I am horrified by what the UK prison service did. They were used as a weapon against Tommy in a way that is so obvious. Well, you can only say that Britain is lost. Something that obvious? Are you serious? To all of my readers in Britain, get out, if you can, when you can. Your own government wants you dead. This next one is a gaunt Tommy Robinson recounts horrible UK prison experience from Zero Hedge. Here's a bit more about the interview with Tucker Carlson, along with the picture of the foul and evil judge that did this to Tommy. One day, Judge Jeffrey Marson will stand before the judge of the universe, and he will answer for every one of the foul and evil things that he's done. I don't wish that on anyone. But at least, I wouldn't want to be, or anyone to be, Judge Jeffrey Marson. This next one again this was a repeat of the YouTube video from Ezra Levant, and seriously, go to freetommy.com. You really need to do that and help Tommy escape from the fate that the UK government has planned for Tommy. This last one is Body Language, Tommy Robinson, PTSD on Tucker Carlson. This is from Mandy Bombard, and you really need to watch this. I've got a link to this video down below, and it's an excellent body language analysis of what Tommy went through. And Mandy Bombard shows you a comparison of what Tommy was like before they threw him in prison and then after. This was and is torture. They did this to him on purpose, and they're wanting to do this to him again, but finish the job. And once they finish with him, they will move on to their next victim. History shows that once something like this begins, it ends in absolute horror. One day, they will be coming for you. I hope that you'll be ready when they do. Well, that's it for this week's ShockCast. I truly hope that you'll be ready for what is coming. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Proverbs 22:3. If you find a flaw in my reasoning, have a question, or wish to add your own viewpoint, leave a comment on the Omega Shock website or in the comments section below. Omega Shock readers and ShockCast listeners leave awesome comments, and I value each and every one of them. Again, make sure that you are subscribed to the Shock Letter at theshockletter.com. In fact, everyone should sign up for the Shock Letter. It's free. Subscribing and unsubscribing is easy, and there's no way that I would ever share the subscription list with anyone. Period. You have my promise on that. For those of you on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications. It's down below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. All of that helps you and me get the message out. And so, allow me to practice my Hebrew and close with a blessing from Numbers 6:24-26. Yevarechecha Yehovah yeshmirecha. Ya'er Yehovah panav elecha vichuneka. Yisa Yehovah panav elecha ve'yasem. Ve'yasem lecha shalom. All that means, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Numbers 6:24-26. May your pastor give you the words that you need to continue walking the path that God calls you to follow. And Lord willing, I will see all of you next week.